game idea, right? That one spark, that concept that you just can't shake. That's awesome. That's exactly where every great game starts. But let's be real for a second. In today's ridiculously crowded market, a brilliant idea is just the starting line. It's not going to get you to the finish line on its own. See, to turn that spark into a world that players can actually get lost in, a game they'll pay for and rave about to their friends, you need a blueprint, a super clear, focused plan that guides every single decision you make, from that first line of code all the way to launch day. And that blueprint, well, that's what we're breaking down today, the game concept document. So let's get into it and start laying the foundation. So what even is this thing? Think of the concept document as the absolute foundation for your entire project. It's the master plan that gets your whole team on the same page, convinces investors that you're worth betting on, and this is the most important part. It acts as your North Star, keeping the project focused so you don't get lost in the weeds. And here's the best part, okay? We are not talking about some 1,000-page novel here. A really powerful, effective concept document can often be boiled down to a single high-impact page. It's all about communicating the most essential parts of your game with absolute clarity. It's about quality, not quantity. All right, let's start building. We're going to begin with the absolute core, the concrete you pour for your foundation, defining your big idea. You get this part right, and everything else you build on top of it will stand strong. And the cornerstone of that foundation is something called the core fantasy. Now, this isn't about mechanics or features. It's all about the feeling. It's the emotional promise you're making to your player. Take Stardew Valley, for instance. The core fantasy isn't, you're going to manage a farm. No way. It's, you get to escape the soulless grind of corporate life to build a new, meaningful existence. You see the difference? One is a checklist of tasks. The other is a dream you get to live. Now, a really popular tool for this is the X meets Y pitch, but you gotta be careful because it is a total double-edged sword. A good one, like Slay the Spire meets Cozy Grove, instantly paints a picture of strategic deck building mixed with a charming life sim. But a bad one, like Hades meets Animal Crossing, well, that just creates confusion. You're setting people up for intense, fast-paced combat, and if that's not your core game, you're gonna alienate them. The key is to use comparisons that clarify your gameplay, not just your art style. Okay, so you've defined your dream. Now it's time for a little reality check. You wouldn't build a house without surveying the neighborhood, right? Well, in game dev, that means knowing your market and your audience inside and out. And this is exactly why that's so important. Just look at this mobile market data. Simulation games, they get a jaw-dropping 9.8 billion downloads. But where is the actual money being spent? It's in strategy and RPGs. This tells you there's a huge, huge difference between a game people will try for free and one they'll actually spend money in. It often comes down to depth and long-term engagement. Understanding that is absolutely vital. So you have to ask yourself, who are you really building this for? A cozy life sim player on the Nintendo Switch is probably looking for relaxation and creativity. A roguelike deck builder fan on Steam, they're chasing that feeling of strategic mastery. These are different people on different platforms looking for completely different things. Your blueprint has to be drawn for a very specific person. And this, right here, this is the indie developer's secret weapon. Look, you're probably not going to outspend a giant AAA studio, but you can definitely outsmart them. Your advantage isn't in competing head-on. It's in creating something new, by finding your niche, by smashing two genres together to make an experience that nobody else is offering. All right, we know the what, we know the who, and we know the where. Now it's time to design the how. This is the floor plan of your blueprint, the actual moment-to-moment experience of what it feels like to play your game. You know, the heart of any great game is its core gameplay loop. It's a simple, repeatable cycle: action, reward, and progression. Check out Moonlighter. At night, you take an action. You go into a dungeon, fight stuff, get loot. During the day, you get your reward. You sell all that loot in your shop. And that leads to progression. You use the gold to upgrade your gear, which lets you take on the next, tougher action. It's simple, it's elegant, and it is so, so addictive. But what happens when the player fails, when they die? That's where something called meta progression comes in, and it's brilliant. In a game like Hades, dying isn't a punishment, it's actually part of the plan. Every failed run gives you resources that you use to permanently upgrade your character. The point is, you are always moving forward. It completely reframes failure as just another step on the road to victory. Okay, time to talk about the utilities. You know, the plumbing and the electricity of your blueprint. It's not the sexiest part of the process, I get it. But without a solid business plan, even the most beautiful house is just an empty shell. This is how your game becomes a real, sustainable project. Monetization is a tricky subject, but it really boils down to fairness and respect for your players' time and money. Selling cool cosmetic items so people can express themselves? Great, go for it. Selling items that give someone a competitive advantage? That's pay to win, and it just destroys player trust. And once that trust is gone, man, it is almost impossible to get back. You want to build a community that wants to support you, not one that feels like it's being forced to. And that advice, by the way, applies to the concept document itself. Your goal is not to write a novel. It's to make a powerful first impression. Every section needs to be short, punchy, and impactful enough to grab a reader, whether it's your teammate or an investor, and make them believe in your vision from the first few sentences. Okay, the blueprint is drawn. The plans are approved. Now it's finally time to start building. This is the construction schedule, the realistic roadmap that takes you from a document on a page to a game people can actually play. So let's walk through it. First, you've got the prototype. This is a quick and dirty version with one goal and one goal only, to prove that your core loop is fun. Next is the vertical slice, a small but fully polished piece of the game that shows off its final quality. This is what gets you funding. Then you have a beta, or a soft launch, to test everything, get data, and squash bugs. And finally, the big one, global launch. Each stage has a clear purpose, moving you one step closer to the finish line. So as we wrap this up, I really want you to remember this. Your concept document is so much more than a business pitch or a technical plan. It's the soul of your project. It's the written version of that initial spark, that flash of inspiration. It's a constant reminder of the promise you made to your players and to yourself. We've gone through all the theory. The tools are in your hands now. Your game's blueprint is just sitting there, waiting to be drawn. The only question left is, what's the very first brick you're going to lay?